Beautiful.
What's your? Oh, I was going to talk to you. I was going to for you to do that one. That you said before you went on holiday.
Bah. Okay.
Taxes on video games.
Oh yeah.
Taxes. Oh, I did read about this.
Yeah. So basically, I think some state government in America are going to put taxes on violent video games in a bid to reduce school shootings or just mass shootings.
Reduce the sale of video games because they believe there's a correlation between violent video games and mass shootings. Not the guns, the video games that include them.
Which I think is the most retarded thing.
It is, because at the end of the day, regardless of how the government have seen that, regardless of whether they're doing it one way or the other, it's a money-making scheme for them.
Yeah.
They thought, well, we can still make money if we do this. Like, there could have been a million other ways. They could spend money to stop this happening by putting up whatever safeguards that they could think of.
Or they could actually do something about the gun crime.
No. Why'd they do that? Because Second Amendment, mate. So
you want a bean boozle?
Well, it's like Donald. I'm sure it was Donald Trump who said it, or one of his minions. Come out with this whole thing about we'll arm children. We'll give like arms, like guns and stuff in schools and stuff to protect against school shootings. It's like, yeah, that's a great idea. You know,
that was for teachers.
If we give all the teachers, if we give all the kids guns, and every day at school's like battle royale, and then we get all the winners and put
they're
them
not going to shoot that kid because he's got a gun.
Death pool.
Noob Master 69 has won this year's fucking.
That's like saying there's loads of floods, so we're going to pour water on it to drown the flood.
One thing about the tax on video games, it's basically them saying that mass shootings are okay as long as the mass shooters paid taxes.
Yeah. Right, so
like as long as he's paid a little bit more and given us some money for his violent video games. If he's
You're on death row, but you know what? Your tax record's fantastic.
So I kind of agree with it. 50% of it. I agree with 50% of it.
Okay.
Because I think that anything that you have, so the money that gets raised from the taxes is to go towards school shootings. So because school, yeah,
I know what you meant. the way you said it was
fun.
They got like donation pots at supermarkets and stuff.
Billy gets bullied every day. For just £3 a month, you can buy him an AR-15.
He does not like the fan.
Yeah, so the money goes towards the victims of the school shootings and stuff like that, and that is a costly process, right? So if you think
tax video games,
right, so that's a bit that I disagree with, but I do think you should tax guns.
I was literally about to say, do they tax the guns?
Tax the guns. Why video games?
There are taxes on guns.
Why
but
tax
not
something that 0.00 whatever fucking percent of the population?
I feel like it's.
But so like why attack like? All I'm saying is 99 point whatever fucking percent of the population can play a violent video game and not feel the need to shoot their classmates.
How do you normally,
right.
Or run into a cinema.
Are we both in the shot roughly?
For me, you don't.
Cool, it's fine.
If you've got a problem like that, you attack the root cause, which is the guns. You don't attack fucking video games. Ultimately, let's face it. Sorry, America doesn't have anything to do with it.
Americans
don't. The root cause though?
What, the
well,
shootings?
no, it's not, but it's the main...
They're what caused the deaths.
Yeah, that's what caused the deaths.
If they didn't have guns, then there'd be much less deaths.
There'd be knife crime instead.
But you can't...
Yeah, it'd be one person or two people would get killed because some nutters gone around with a knife, maybe.
That's never going to work for America. If you're talking about hypothetically...
No, it's not, because the Second Amendment is...
America are never going to change anything.
They're never going to get rid of the Second Amendment.
So first of all, we have to accept there's going to be loads of guns and there's going to be more school shootings. That's just a fact of life.
Yeah.
Right? So then you've got how do you get rid of it? Now, if you're a smoker or a drinker in England, you are causing technically a problem for the government because eventually you'll need to go to the NHS because you might have issues with your liver or whatever. So they put taxes on your cigarettes, your alcohol and stuff like that to start kind of paying for it. So I understand the raised taxes if it was on, this is why I say 50% of it, if it was on guns or something like that.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, the video games aren't responsible for it. They're just not. It's ridiculous.
It's a tiny, minuscule percentage of people are going to play a violent video game and be influenced by it.
It's basically
so why
someone did
make
it once and it's like, oh yeah, he was playing Grand Theft Auto.
It's the same thing with like NWA.
It's a
where they're
scapegoat,
like,
100%.
oh, it's this violent new music is causing all the problems, and it's like it's not.
It's not. It's just oppressing people.
Yeah, the music is symptomatic of the place that the people are in. The video games aren't necessarily the same, but it's like reading, like, where do you stop? Because you could read like Lord of the Rings and be like, actually, I'm an elf, and I'm going to kill everyone
and then go
in the
around
school.
just shooting someone with a bow and arrow. Yeah,
Exactly. I quite enjoy playing FIFA. That does not mean that I go outside and think I'm Leo Messi.
You do, but you're not.
I'm definitely
just runs into the new camp, just like fucking 2 foot, like Biscuits.
Yeah, like, or even the thing, like,
Much better than
I
that little
think,
shit.
I saw after it, Walmart as well have stopped displaying all games that haven't got a E rating, so it's the equivalent of 3+.
yeah.
Next fucking aisle has shotguns displayed.
Yeah.
I saw that as well. Yeah,
That
That's
is
just
so ridiculous.
Maybe obviously it's
We
not the
can't-
next aisle, but
we
like
can't-
in the same building, they'll
We
have
can't
shotguns displayed.
advertise, digitized guns in a game, but if you just go to next aisle, there's actual guns you can use.
Yeah.
Well, the point is, where do you stop? I mean, look, Nerf guns, right? Great banter. Do you charge someone $2,000 for a Nerf gun just to stop them from?
I mean, that is the other end of the extreme. Like, did you get punched in the face?
No.
Not yet.
Oh.
I think it's just a spot underneath his left eye.
Yeah.
Cheers. We'll
It's alright, mate.
keep that in the podcast.
I'll zoom in on
I
it.
think it's beautiful, mate. I think it's beautiful. What it's worth.
But like, yeah, it's the same thing over here because obviously, like, they'll tax beer, cigarettes, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, where do you stop with that?
Well, see, so I think it's simple.
Do I get taxed for? Obviously, they've literally brought in the sugar tax,
Cutlery.
like, or like
No,
McDonald's.
because I think you guys have gone on to the right point. I think you've just taken it too far.
Yeah.
So where do you stop? You stop at things that fundamentally are unhealthy or is going to actually let's keep it even simpler than that. Anything that is going to cause an expense that the government has to pay. So anything that the NHS is regularly going to have to pay out on, such as all those was it hydrogenated sugars? Is that the one or the basically the ones that are really bad for you? They're really common in American foods, less so in English and EU foods.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to think what you.
I know what you mean.
But yeah, whatever that is it hydrogenated fats?
Something like that.
Anyway,
Unsaturated or
whatever the fuck it is.
No.
If you put taxes on that because of how much money the NHS has to spend, basically on fat people trying to get them to reduce taxes, causing that's logical. Where you would stop is like, as you say, fucking cutlery. Well, why would you need to stop? But it's not the cutlery that's causing the overeating. It's the hydrogenated fats and the poor attitude.
The NHS has a
I'm not talking
very
about no,
that's
cutlery.
my
I was
thing
talking
as
about
well.
knife
It's
crime, to be
only-
honest.
It's people's poor attitudes that are ruined. Like, I could have
but then
like a top athlete could just stop and have a quarter pounder. Like,
to
why
be
should he
fair,
get taxed?
the
if he's
NHS
running
has a
his
very
life
high
properly?
percentage of people that get hit in the eye by Nerf bullets, so they should tax that, and then they'd be able to fix all the Nerf bullets in the gun in people's eyes.
I don't think that's
I personally, I think Nerf should stop.
Happened to me once, okay?
Yeah, but I still remember you being in year 4 and getting smacked in the face with a football and being off school for like a month.
Tax them.
tax the school, tax the football, tax all of them.
Tax schools, they're not necessarily. They're causing,
Yeah, so
they're causing
I
severe
think
football
you
crowds.
raise a really good point, which is so fundamentally you don't need a tax for everything, but to have a tax to help pay for that kind of stuff does make sense because otherwise you're expected the government to just whip out more money that it wouldn't necessarily.
But
have.
video games aren't the thing they should be taxed.
But video games aren't. But what you said is essentially it's the attitude and the education. I think the best way that you could go in and try and stop gun crime in America is to have a complete overhaul of essentially the education. So
Yeah, teach people when they're young how to use guns. Like, obviously they're not going to get rid of them.
Well, make it more accurate.
Mate, I would
don't know
start
about
off. Mate, I would start off by having the mandatory checks on everyone because the fact that like as a 15-year-old you can go in and you can buy a gun at a fair without ID or any kind of background
because
check
there's some
is-
loophole in the
it's ludicrous.
in the laws.
Yeah, and it's just a loophole. So you start off doing like mental health checks and regular IDs. Go for the same thing that's got to be locked in 2 cabinets, even if it is a younger buyer. Like
Mental
18 or
health is the
21.
key thing here, I think.
No. I disagree because technically, according to like fucking book I read in fucking school, they say that any act of a crime man where you kill another person is not a healthy mentality. So essentially, then you go into where do you draw the line at mental health, and where do you draw the line at someone who just has a very low moral compass? Do you see what I mean? So I don't think you should go about it by. I mean, obviously, mental health is an issue, but the fact that they blame the shooters on mental health.
Bear in mind, if you're going to do severe mental health background checks every single person, it's another thing the government's going to have to pay for, and therefore another thing they have to get money from.
But I think that's fine because then you add a tax on the guns, you do the mental health check, and you do ID checks. You do the same thing where it's got to be locked behind the 2 cabinets or whatever is the standard safety procedure, and then you start educating about the people about essentially. Like what this truly means as like you could have fucking youth counsellors in school and stuff like that, but ultimately they don't do any of that because
they do have that quite a lot in the States actually. They do have youth counsellors and stuff like that.
pretty good.
No. That's on a state by state basis. That's not across the national
It's not
level.
university, yeah, but I mean, they have it more so than we do because we don't really have stuff like that in the UK.
I'd say when we were in school.
How many schools have we been to?
We don't have a high level,
are?
but we don't have a high level of suicides or homicides based out of schools.
True, but knife crime in London is fucking dreadful. Ginormous.
Yeah, and look at what happened. They pulled all the money knife crime policies that we had in place with the latest few governments between Cameron, May, and I'm guessing Johnson hasn't put in any more money into it. So we had. Do you remember about 10 years ago, knife crime was really low in England in general? Like it was the lowest
10 years ago. I probably wasn't paying attention to it.
It's like the lowest it had been in like 20 years or something.
Mm.
Then they pulled all the money out of the policies that were fighting that, and now you see a massive raise, like a massive hike in knife crime, to the point where there's people collecting money at Liverpool Street for private ventures that are trying to help pull in the same policies that were in place beforehand.
Yeah,
It still comes down to control, doesn't it? I mean, it doesn't matter what level of control. The bottom line is, really, the American government isn't doing enough.
it's because
It's just like something happens, like, oh yeah, it's a disaster. They don't really actually do anything about it.
Ultimately, it's because as Americans and being patriotic as Americans, they do not want to adjust or remove the Second Amendment. That is all. If you really want to be that simple about it, that is what it boils down to.
Yeah, of course.
The people in charge of doing that would be the politicians, and the politicians get all the money from the gun companies.
Yeah.
So that it would be like biting the hand that's feeding you.
Yeah.
But what about doing an alternative? Because they already banned automatic assault rifles. They're putting a ban in place for bump stocks, which is one that lets you fire a semi-automatic as fast as
and it clicks back and it
Yeah.
pushes the trigger again, right? Yeah.
Well, that's obviously good because I'm assuming 5 years ago, like the whole point of the Second Amendment is it's a really outdated rule.
Yeah.
Because obviously in like going back even as recent as 100 years, you probably did need a gun to defend yourself from fucking Red Dead Redemption characters or bears.
Well, the idea
John
as well.
Wayne.
The idea for the second
Clint Eastwood or bears running about. You did probably need a gun.
Back in the day when the Native Americans were fighting against
Well, it was.
I mean, we're going back really far now.
Yeah, but
it's the same bloody
it's only
point, though.
150 years.
Yeah, it's not that far.
Yeah,
It's not.
I suppose.
So like, but then it should have really been changed when the threat of being eaten by a bear or shot by Clint Eastwood.
You grow with the times. You grow with the times.
They just haven't. They've just thought, I want a big gun just because. It's like, what are you using it for?
What scenario?
Why do you need an assault rifle for that?
Yeah, what scenario does any regular citizen require anything more than a handgun? Really? Someone's breaking your house, handgun.
Yeah, you're never going to break it. If someone breaks in, you're not going to open
do
up
you
an
need to
Uzi on
shotgun
them.
a burglar in the face? Probably not. Like a single shot's probably going to be enough to take them down, or like they're not
least
gonna
slow them
They're
down.
not going to be running after you afterwards. Yeah.
You'd need at least a grenade launcher.
To be fair, some
the
of them are
conversation about
proper
the guy dragging the Panzerschreck into the police station, was that a conversation you were about?
Yeah.
just some guy just a fucking Bruce Willis, like he's just yippee-ki-yay motherfucker someone out his window with Panzerschreck.
They did an amnesty in Norwich where people could just hand in guns without being asked any questions. And one of the ones that someone dropped off was a rocket launcher, like one of those small, the ones that you see in Vietnam where they like pull them back, fire it, and it's one use and then it's gone.
Hey, you say that. I see a thing. At the start of this year, the police obviously got some sort of lead or whatever. It's in Italy, Turin,
Right.
and they raided a load of Juventus Ultras houses.
Oh yeah.
And they laid out. Joe, if they do the thing where they lay out all the shit that they've got, and like they'll pose in front of it and be like, "Yo, we did sick."
Put it on Facebook or something stupid.
Mate, they pulled out. It was like a fucking surface-to-air missile.
like one of those SAM site things that takes down aircrafts.
Yeah,
God's sake.
I think fucking saying just absolutely
what were they planning?
fucking ridiculous. Like also they found like loads of guns.
Get
and
rid of the
ammunition.
fans
what it was,
before they
didn't
land.
So when you Torino were playing in Europe this year, so they were going to blow up their plane on
Yeah,
takeoff.
what were they planning to do with it?
God's sake. I'll tell you what, you saying about Norwich and shootings, there's been 5 big shootings in Norwich this month. Temu bloody Pookie.
Oh, I knew you'd get that in there, you fuck. So,
Best player in the world, mate, I'm just saying.
Norwich has been promoted to Premier League.
Yeah.
And although, despite not actually having won a game yet, am I correct in saying
No, they beat Newcastle last week.
they beat Newcastle? So they've
Pookie
won
hat-trick, mate.
they've won 1 of 3 games. Their striker scored 5 goals.
Right.
He's been
Sick.
promoted from the Championship, and he's some Finnish guy called Pookie.
It's well good.
And
Pika.
Pika.
yeah, Pika Pookie.
Pookie party.
Jay Pika Pookie's his pants. And Jay insisted on bringing up Temu
There, I
Pookie.
mean, I can probably find a better
Nice.
picture, but
Nice. Why would
Mate,
you...
that's That's a missile. That is.
No. The thing is, what they were just gonna run really fast and throw it at somebody. We haven't got the launcher. That's fine. Just run really fast into him.
Wheel up a catapult and just fucking light over it.
A giant slingshot, yeah.
There we go. There's another. I'm slowly working my way
Jesus.
down the missile here. I'm really
Wow.
trying to find a better
That is
picture, but I'm not
ridiculous.
chatting shit. Like they were
They're
neo-Nazis.
football fans.
Oh, there we go. Boom. They
Where
have
are they getting these
they have
from?
the thing to launch it as well,
Where is
as you do.
Wait, look, hold on. Let's see the launcher. Jesus Christ.
That's ridiculous, it.
Where'd you get it from?
No idea.
You don't go on Amazon and type in rocket launcher, do you?
Well, no, obviously you got to buy
Missile,
it in
silo,
parts.
and missile. Does it come as part
Nose
of the
cone
deal?
for a missile.
Been sold by
engine for a
Mr. Kim.
missile. Build it yourself. You're sorted. Oh, that is mad.
That's got to be enough to knock out a building.